Okay, we're gonna do the Final Fantasy IV characters, and this time you can't just change them into jobs as you want to. In like Final Fantasy One, Three, Five, Two, you could do that as well. You just assign them whatever role you want, and blah blah blah, so on and so forth. They're just hard coded into jobs, but I'm going to rank them, and this is of course the real, true, definitive list, and nothing on this is going to be false. So let's get right into this. I've put them in order that you obtain them in the game. You're going to see them. So we're just going to be going in like a linear way, like the game is. So the first person you get is Dark Knight Cecil. Now he is interesting, but there's not really much going for him at the same time. The best thing he has is the Deathbringer, which I believe it's like a 25% chance to instant KO an enemy. But on the reverse side, it's also very bad, and this is the problem with the Dark Knight Cecil. Um, he's mediocre as a tank, and he doesn't have much going for him. Deathbringer's great, but in the areas where he's super flawed, like fighting undead, he is really bad at it and will only deal one damage to them. So he needs party support to get through those areas. And there's a lot of game where he just doesn't have the Deathbringer. Um, so that's not like the biggest thing. So darkness is interesting, but there's really not much to say about. Like, I wish that this was an ability that was given to the Dark Knight in the third game for the Pixel remaster, and that would be great. But you don't get to play around with it a lot, and it also has pretty much the same flaws as using the Dark Sword. So he has very low HP growth. I believe that the mages even outstrip him at higher levels. So even if you were to take him in the you know, unhinged fanfic that is like the GBA post game and PSP and whatever. So I'm not even gonna consider abilities from that, or the DS game is just a completely different game as well. So can't rate him on that. So he's just mid. He's like the definition of mid. Moving on, we have Kane. Now, Kane is really good and then also really mid. So you don't really get to play around with him much until you get to the Tower of Zot, and that whole storyline has gone on, and he finally rejoins again with Rosa. But when you get him then up to the point where he leaves a second time, he's a really solid addition to the party. Jump is, I believe, 100% accurate. So the way this game works is that it has a whole wide range of RNG. So you're just going up there, you're taking like 10 to 15 swings or something, and it's checking against defense multipliers. And if you miss, you're losing out on that damage. So having 100% accurate attacks, and it also works from the back row. So you could snugly put him back there, and in the back row you take less damage, and then he deals full damage with his jump attacks from the back row, and just flat out gets the full damage, and it removes him from the battlefield. Some people can argue that this is bad because your other guys are taking it, but why does that even matter? He's supposed to be your damage machine, and Cecil's supposed to be the tank. So I think they got this right. During the stretches of game, like against Barbariccia, up to the first trip through the Tower of Babel, once he gets, I believe you get the Ice Lance and the Fire Lance and stuff. He's just putting out ludicrous damage, but unfortunately, he does fall off around the time you're going through the sealed cave, and he leaves the party again. He comes back, and he's actually the worst party member at that point. Some people argue that these people are lunatics. Don't ever listen to them, but Kane does have a definite fall off. Now, one of the reasons is because they give him the Holy Lance as his quote ultimate weapon, but I think they should have given him the one that comes beyond it, the Dragon Whisker. he doesn't have weapons that are as powerful as like Cecil gets at end game. And if he got like the Dragon Whisker, which goes into the whole theme of what he is, the Dragoon, he's supposed to be good at fighting dragons. Instead, they give him this garbage Holy Lance, which is garbage in this game because he's a Dragoon. He has an absolute ass spirit stat. So what you could do with the Holy Lance is cast Holy with it, with a character that has just garbage in spirit, and so that is like the worst option you could do with it. Most of his equipment in the final dungeon is the dragon armor, which gives him 50% of reduction from fire, ice, and lightning, and drops damage from dragons to a quarter. So if they would have given him the dragon whisker, which allows him to do quadruple damage to dragons, he would at least have a niche where he's just really, really good against dragons, like he's supposed to be. But unfortunately, he falls off hard in the end game. So, with that being said, you can't discount the hard carry. He's put the team on his back at some points during the mid game. So I'm going to put him in the upper tier. Also, he is the best aura farmer in the game, so that's he's got that going for him as well. Maybe that doesn't make him fall off as hard in the end game, but he's not going to be the guy. He's not him anymore. He's past 40 at that point at his age, and he's just his body's breaking down, and he's no longer able to keep up with the rest of the league. Now then, Rydia, you first get her as a kid after Cecil and Kane show up in Mist and take out her mom, but she's not bad at that point. She can like summon Titan. That's pretty impressive. But after that story beat, she doesn't have it anymore. But she is a great source of damage at that point, and she can also use white magic. So she's pretty good carry, especially in the parts where Cecil can't deal with undead. So yeah, you run into an undead foe. You got Rydia with her white magic and fire spells to deal with that, and she's got Chocobo Summon, which is the spell that does great against bosses. But you do lose her, and for the part of the game that she's not there, okay, whatever. But she comes back. She spent like 10 years in a pocket dimension, just training up her summon skills, and she comes back as a complete badass. She loses the ability to use white magic at that point, but who gives a fuck? She gets all the black magic spells in the game, and also the summon spells, so she's able to just bring out any of the these things are like extra planar entities, and so she's just pulling them out of pocket dimensions, and they're her servants and stuff. So that is a pretty badass ability, and you could put her like in any verse and see if she just stomps, which she does. Like if you put her in Harry Potter, she stomps everybody there. You put her in Jujutsu Kaisen, she stomps everybody there. There's like no argument. Gojo fans go away. She's able to summon Odin. Odin has Gungnir. The legend of Gungnir is that it hits any target regardless of any defenses they have. So she wipes so many universes. And what's there not to love? She's got all the elemental magic, great debuffs like polymorph spells, paralyze. I guess you could argue Osmose, but Osmose does fall off by endgame, and I don't know why it falls off as hard as it does, but that's just the breaks with it. She's got battlefield clearing nukes. There's like nothing wrong. Just look at that. This is peak woman right here. She's absolutely goated. She's going in the goated tier. But then we move on to Tella. And what's there really to say about Tella? He's a sage from Final Fantasy III. They had the sage class that uses all magic, but apparently they lost the ability to use summons in this game. When you first meet him, he is good. He'll get you through that portion of the game because he has the low-level spells, and he's able to actually I don't want to say have the cardio for it, but what the stamina for it. Since they're so cheap, he has the stamina to cast these spells like the first level cure, fire, ice, and thunder. He's got it. He's solid during that section of the game, but when he does come back, he's supplanted by other characters, and then when he learns all of his high level magic, he just does not have the stamina to keep up that kind of damage output. He's not good. And one of the other things that is wrong with him is that he is one of the only characters that I've ever seen in an RPG where his stats go down as he levels up. So with that, and you got your stats degrading, he doesn't have the stamina to go. He can't even cast the ultimate spell when he learns it, which he learned to take out the antagonist Golbez. He's just I have no choice. I have to put him in the lower tier. He's not a good character at all. Even with the remember ability to remember the high level spells that he had, it's not good. He just he's a bad character actually. Moving on.
Brother, what's that?
Okay,
What's that,
so
brother?
everything they say about Edward/Gilbert is correct. He has some cool ideas, but he's just not good. His bad HP growth, everything that happens in the GBA and PSP is just delusional fanfic. So he never actually hits those highs. He was only supposed to be filler. He's story filler, and in combat, you can't really rely on this guy. What does he really bring to the table? It's actually this is a good character that your team actually improves when he leaves the party, and he never comes back. He spends like the rest of the game just injured. And he's doing like Scott flops from Final Fantasy 2 because he had to impersonate them. Now in combat, he has like nothing going for him. He's not like any other bard in the series. Like 3, you just equipped the harps in the original version, and you got all this cool stuff. Pixel remaster, you get the sing ability, which allows you to do all this other stuff. In Final Fantasy 5, they have all these songs that are just ridiculous effects. Edward has none of that. He gets salve, which just takes a potion that I don't know, heals like 20 or 30 HP and splits it between all of your party members, which just dilutes it and makes it very ineffective. Maybe if he could use like high potions with it, I'm not sure if he can, but by the point you get those, he's already gone. Like, why would you want this guy? He's only there for story and blah blah blah. You don't see him again until the Tower of Prayers. He's useless. So yeah, dumpster tier. Here we have Rosa, and she's probably the best white mage in the entire series. She comes with the full suite of white magic, curatives, resurrections, buffs, debuffs before they took out most of them. Hold is like paralyze. She has mini. It's incredibly abusive if you use it against the right enemies. It drops their defense down to 1, and then they take double damage, I believe, or is that 3? Anyway, the polymorph spells are all funny, and prayer takes like 0 MP to cast and is pretty cool in the early game, so you don't have to spend MP on it. I mean, it can be wishy-washy with unanswered blah blah bullshit. She has aim, so all of her attacks are 100% accurate, and kind of like jump with Kain, so she should have no excuse for missing. And speaking on that, her combat abilities are absolutely just ridiculous. You put a bow on her, she gets all the elemental arrows for fire, ice, and lightning. Elements do double damage. She gets several arrows that do enemy type damage, and if you get the right type damage on them, you do quadruple damage. Later in the game, you can get the Minerva Bustier, which is better put on Rosa because yeah, they give Rydia whips, but there's absolutely no reason to go around with whips. Okay, they have like what, a 1/3 chance to paralyze an enemy, but she's better served by just casting spells. I believe she has a paralysis spell, so she could just use that as well. And the damage of the whips, and she never ever comes close to the damage that Rosa does. Like easy 5,000 to 6,000 damages from Rosa at the end game, and she gets arrows that even target dragons. So what's not to love? Absolutely goaded healing. She gets holy later on. Float to go through some of those side quest areas. Uh, this is also what Peak Woman looks like. So we're gonna put her up in the goaded tier. Yong. Let's talk about Yong. So he's a monk. He got the better end of the bargain from Final Fantasy 3. So monk and then black belts or karate master or whatever you want to call it had the claws and the monk did not, and so the monk was supposed to fall off and get replaced by the black belt. But Young just gets the claws just immediately. So he's got all the element matching, so he can do fire, ice, and lightning to do double damage. He's got some claws that do type damage for quadruple damage, so his damage is always going to be good. Now his defenses are a little lacking, which is the part that hurts him the most, but he also has absolutely monstrous HP growth, the best in the game. So it might take a few hits to knock him out still. And at the same time, he's just doing absolutely savage damage and beating people down. Um, he also gets the kick command, which it's okay, it's not bad. I suggest using it later on, like once you get to the underworld and you start fighting the dark imps and everything. You can put out pretty decent damage. I mean, nothing amazing, but it's there just to do multi-target damage. Also, build up allows him to do double damage. I'm not the biggest fan of the ability, but it's there. And if you wanted to put some defenses on him, he also has the gird ability, so he has that going for him. He's a pretty solid melee character. The only problem with him is his defenses, but like I said, it's still going to take a bit to knock him down. I'm going to put him in the upper tier. So this is Palom. He's a black mage, and I think he's like 5, so he's pretty good for a 5-year-old black mage. He's able to learn all the black magic in the game, and he actually doesn't fall off. Yeah, black mages like Rydia have the worst HP growth in the game, but there's nothing wrong with this guy. He also has the bluff command. Bluff, they call it. I don't know why they call it that, but he has it, and it allows him to do more damage with his spells. Just slap rods on him. He goes to town and does everything that you would want him to do with his magic spells. Unfortunately, you don't have him forever, but he also gets the twin cast ability with his sister Porum, which is a cool ability, but he's a solid character. And um, if you were so inclined to grind, he actually gets the top level spells much earlier than Rydia does. But during the stretch of game, he's a solid. You kind of have to crutch on him because he's in a bad area for Cecil because he's still in his Dark Knight phase and can't hurt the undead there. So you're relying on Palom for damage, and he comes in with all the elemental weaknesses, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just going to put him in the upper tier. Porum, also a white mage. She's not as good as Rosa. I'm just you have to be honest. Rosa is the best white mage. She just can't compete with the damage. Yeah, she can wield the staffs that Rosa can wield and have really good healing, but that's all she is. Still, it's great to have a solid healer, especially when this dumbass Tella, which is an anagram for lethal, which is what he wishes he was, or is that just a plot foreshadowing? Well, anyway, Corum is pretty solid as a healer. You know, her stats are not going down; they're going up. So yeah, you're getting what you paid for, and you know she also has a twin cast with uh Palom here. I'm not sure if they ever fixed Cry to do anything useful. Did they change that in the Pixel remaster? And because in the original version, what it does is improve steal rates, and the only character in the game that can steal is Edge. But these two are never in the same party with each other, so I don't know. Does it have another effect? I'm not sure. Like if it doesn't make their magic defense or defense go down or something, that would actually be badass. But for what you're getting, I'm gonna put her in the upper tier. Okay, Paladin Cecil. He is definitely better than Dark Knight Cecil. I mean, he starts with 600 HP at level 1 and has, like, I believe the second best HP growth in the game. I don't know. He might be second or third best. Sid might beat him out. But he's also a better tank than the other ones. You know, just having a shield allows him to block more attacks and therefore take less damage. And his heavy armor equipment is just better suited for doing that. And once he catches up, by the time he's at the Tower of Zot, where he's like around level 20, he starts putting out good melee damage too. So he's got that going for him, and you know he has the innate cover command where you could just tell him, "I want you to cover this guy," and they'll do it. But it also just activates if somebody's in low health. He'll just block the melee damage to them and take it himself. Very paladin, very knightly of him. That's very good. He also gets some white magic like scan and teleport, which are better used on him than Rosa because she's just got better things to do. But he's very solid. You know, you best tank in the game, solid melee damage. Some white magic spells can just flee from battle. It's great. Now I'm not going to put him in the goaded tier because and this is strictly just for story reasons. I don't think he's an effective leader. There are several points in the story where he just like is dumb. Um, he fails to recognize that Bigen's a bad guy. He's like what the, you know what? I'm just gonna skip to the end where he makes the most boneheaded decision in the history of ever. So like he tells Rydia and Rosa not to go along with him. This is like if you're playing a game of chess and you have two queens on the board and you decide I'm not going to use either of these pieces. I think that he would have lost the entire game at that point because that's just some arrogance and hubris. So I'm gonna put him in the upper tier. Absolutely fantastic skill set. Dude is absolutely dumb though. Sid rhymes with mid, so that's where I'm gonna put him. But he would be better if he could equip a shield. But hammers are innately double-handed, dual-wielded, or not dual-wielded because that's putting a weapon in each hand, but double-handed. And so, therefore, he can't wield a weapon or a shield, which really hurts him because he's supposed to be a front row melee unit. And not having a shield in the front row does hurt you a lot. But he puts out okay damage. Now, there was one playthrough that I named him Clown because he did look like a clown in that portrait in the original Final Fantasy IV for the SNES. And I thought that's pretty accurate, but he doesn't have much going for him. Story wise, he is pretty good though because he's unlike Edward, he can actually take a hit, a really big hit. This guy is known for having strapped dynamite to his face and then jumped off the airship YOLO style and blew himself up. So that's pretty hardcore. But outside of that, he's in the mid tier. There's no you can't do much with him. He's got some good things going for him, but he's also got some very awful things going against him. So he's I wish he was better. Now Edge, Edge is in a super position depending on who you ask. Now I will put him in the tier I think he belongs in, but he's either really good or really mid, depending on who you ask. Now, I don't understand arguments where people are making saying, "Oh, Edge's damage is just really bad," because anytime I use him, he's just like absolutely flooring and has some of the top tier damage in the game, and I just don't understand. Well, actually, I do understand because what these players are doing are just being really lazy and doing stuff like this, and that's not a good strategy. So Edge gets everything that Yong has. He has all the claws that do elemental damage for times two, and he has the claws that can do quadruple damage. And then he starts getting other weapons like the Mage Masher, which does quadruple damage to mages, which is great to use against Ashura. And he also gets the boomerangs that do damage to flying enemies, so he gets to add projectiles to that as well. So if you're just gonna equip two katanas, yeah, he's gonna be mid. But if you actually invest the zero point 0.2 seconds in changing his weapons, which you know you could do during the middle of battle too, and there's like no excuse because you could open up the bestiary in the middle of the game and check an enemy type to see how you ream them. Edge is just really good, and I just don't understand the message is that they're spamming about his damage to being bad, like so many call center managers just screaming about the numbers. But at the end of the day, Edge's numbers are pretty fucking good, and he also gets the ninjutsu to do multi-target elemental damage, shadow bind or whatever to inflict paralysis, and paralysis is like one of the best status effects in Final Fantasy. He also gets image, which allows him to tank better because his tanking is pretty mid. This is just a self-only blink spell. It's just absorbing damage there until he gets his final piece of armor, which has like 95 evasion or whatever, and you don't need it anymore. And you could also slap a protect ring. He's like one of the best tanks in the game, only second to Cecil. He's even better than Kain in the end game. Maybe not against dragon type enemies, but he's a really good tank there. Yeah, Edge is goated. Like, holy shit, man, he is good. And that brings us to the final character of Final Fantasy IV, Fuso Ya. This guy is just a reskinned Tella with a bit more MP, but he kind of has the same issues that Tella. He just does not have the stamina. And at the point you get him in the game, you've already got Rydia and Rosa, and it's well established that both of these characters are goated, and so he brings nothing to the table. Yeah, they buffed his regen skill in the Pixel Remaster, but I'm about to make the best case argument for Fusoya right now. Yeah, that's it right there. I don't think that Fusoya is actually a living, breathing human. He is just a sentient beard that has taken over a body of a Lunarian and is using it as he sees fit, like some kind of old one from Lovecraftian mythos. So we don't understand what the beard wants. We don't know what it wants, but it is part of the party. So uh, outside of taking him to the Lair of Father to use to speed up the reflect cast, there's not much out to say about this guy. You got a better black mage, you got a better white mage, and he's just a reskin Tella with a bit more stamina, which isn't really that great at that point in the game. So he's also going in the lower tier with lethal here. So yeah, that's my tier list for Final Fantasy IV. Go down in the comments, tell me how wrong I am, and I'll just ignore that.